Oh yeah. I just asked Matt to get us a quick update on where we're up to today. As you can see, we're both wet through. It's the 22nd of May. Yesterday it was boiling up. Today it's decided to absolutely piss it down all day. I've got Matt here catching up on some quotes because we are fully wasting time on our way to Ellesmere Port. Yeah. We're going to go look at Spire GTR with a 1.8T. It's not a BAM engine, I think it's an AEB. It's not very high horsepower, I think it's 200 horsepower as it sits. But we can soon change that, but we have no idea what we're buying. No idea what we're doing at all. We're just going to go for it and see what comes of it.
So yeah, the best day to be going by an open top track car is obviously a horrible, ridiculous rainy day. So yeah, we're going to look at a Spire. It is currently an open top car, which is kind of off-putting, but at the same time we'll have a good look and see what it's like.
If we buy it, by the time we get home it'll be a bloody hot tub at full water.
Yeah, exactly. It's not road legal yet as well, so that's obviously something that we've really got to consider, is getting it road legal as well.
Yeah, so when you buy a kit car and it's not got an IVA and it's a bit of an oddball motor, you can't enter it in just any old race class. You've got to buy a car that conforms with other cars so you can race equally against them. That's the whole idea of fair racing. So it isn't a race car and it hasn't got an IVA, so it's not a road car. So at the moment it's just an over-the-top track car. So that's something we need to think about, because I've got to put petrol in here. That's something we need to think about. You don't want to be buying it and having no use for it, so we need to see how IVA clear it is, or whether it can even be done. Right, I'm going to put some fuel
We'll
in
update you later. Okay, as you can see, I'm absolutely drenched because we've been stood outside for the last probably half an hour, going through the car, having a look at it, seeing what there is and what there isn't. And oh, you can't really see it over there, but yeah, there is a car on the trailer. We now own a Spire. What is it? A Spire GTR.
It's a Spire GTR with a 1.8 turbo 5-speed gearbox. Yeah, it's something a bit different.
Oh
that's
my
for sure.
God, that's a fucking flood.
We're going through a flood.
There's a
Good morning. So we've had a little bit of a look around the car that we've bought. This is going to be an ongoing build thread, I think. From what we can see, it's going to need a fair bit of work. It's all there but not finished. It's a Spire GTR with an AEB Passat engine in it. The engine's from a Passat Sport 1998. The engine should make around, I was quoted 200 horse, which seems a lot considering the turbo's standard-ish, or standard looking anyway. And an aftermarket turbo only does about 210 horsepower, so I don't think it's going to be that powerful. And if it's not that powerful, the CBR 1000RR engine that it replaced does 200 horsepower anyway, so this is going to be a little bit underpowered considering it's heavier. So we need to do something about the power, but that really needs to be done after it's been IVA checked. We want to get through it as quick as possible with it as it is, without making too many modifications, because we're going to need to modify it for IVA, and then after the IVA is passed, we really need to be then making sure it's powerful and it works. But to make sure it's safe and road legal, that would be the priority. The paperwork I've got with the car is colossal. I've got all the wiring diagrams from the company that made it originally. I've got all the receipts for every single pipe, all the paperwork for the original engine that's been rebuilt, all the receipts for the seats and steering wheel and the brakes, the bias, all that stuff. Anyway, so I've got it all so I can document it, because you do actually need all that stuff to IVA it. They want to see where everything's come from and what standard everything's to. So I've got all that. The brakes are all single pot push to pull things, so they're not Willwoods or anything fancy. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like. Matt said we just get it running, take it for a track day and see how we get on, which I don't think is a bad shout. The engine doesn't run currently. That again is down to wiring, supposedly. So I've got wiring diagrams, I've got a box there with ECU in it. I've not touched it yet, other than taking this panel off the back of it. This is the big fiberglass panel that goes over the back. Other things I've noticed that I'd like to change are, I'd love to put a bigger turbo on it, get more power, change the rods and stuff. We can do all that here. A different clutch. But what I'd like to do is, the charge cooler is, as you can see, right down there. which means the boost pipe comes out all the way under the engine into the charge cooler, does a really sharp 180 and then back into the inlet. I can't help but think that that is a really long-winded way of doing that. I know it's probably actually better than an intercooler because you have to fill an intercooler up, whereas that charge cooler is quite small. But if we made an inlet manifold here that was a couple of inches thicker, that had the inlet here or here, we could build the charge cooler into the inlet, make the whole system a damn sight shorter, run a shorter boost pipe and have instant boost. It does make a small amount of difference because I've got a T25 with a charge cooler on it, and I made the system as short as possible, and I do genuinely think that makes a difference. As you can see here, it's got a fancy little fuel tank. That won't pass IVA. It needs to be in a separate compartment from the engine, away from the person. So it either needs to be in here or it needs to be in here. On a motorbike engine, they fit them here. We could put it under the front. As you can see inside the car, it's supposed to be a new shell and it's never been used, which I believe because they've not drilled any holes or bolted these seats down ever. So, but in the same breath, I don't know. I've got this little fancy thing here. This looks cheap in Chinese, but I've got a wiring diagram for it and about 1,000 sensors that it can look after. So you can monitor your temperatures and all that kind of stuff. So I need to do a little bit more research into this and see what kind of quality that is. If it's a top quality bit of kit, it can stay there. Obviously all of this is probably for the bin because I think I've got new buttons and all that kind of stuff for that. I've got a new set of harnesses. I'm going to have to fit a different steering wheel for the IVA. I really need to fit different seats. But this is all hearsay, what people have told me. There's a good chance that once I actually get the IVA forms out, I'll write it all on the wall and we'll go through it and we'll make sure it all complies to IVA. This intercooler air filter inlet probably works fine, probably absolutely fine to be fair, but I'd love to change that because it comes at the moment, it goes from the turbo out, through the MAF, backwards, all the way around the car, into a weird air filter here that from what I can see sucks on the outside and from the centre, and then up to the air filter hole which is here. So I put a bit of mesh over it to make it work, but so that comes down. I'd prefer to have a little airbox made, aluminium airbox, put the filter in that and then have it go straight to the turbo. It's going to be a working project, that's for sure. Yo! In fairness, I didn't think it would be that easy to get it running. Checked it's got oil in, found the wiring for it, which is here on the wheel. This is all the loom wiring for underneath the dashboard. It says to the ignition switch, there's some unknown wire which ended up being a starter motor. Connect them two together, and yeah, I've obviously put the runner. I tried it a couple of times, didn't have any fuel in, someone's drained it out. That's very, it just has been looked after so well. I'm very impressed. So yeah, right, what do we need to do now to get it to a track day? It runs. I guess we need to check the tracking and check the brakes and bolt the seats down. Okay, let's gauge up so you can see what we're doing. And attach the panels a little bit better. I think this one here is loose. The back panel obviously has got little aero catches here. They need to be probably a little bit better secured. And then at the front, it's only on 2 pegs at the front and nothing at the back. So I don't know whether they bolt together or whether I need to put a peg in here somewhere and just pin it down. There's a bit of shell there. I could put some more aero catches on it. I think if you're going to use an aero catch anywhere, race car is a good place to start. Right, that's good news, isn't it?